بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها وقال الله جل وعلا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ألا إن في الجسد لمضغة إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله وإذا فسدت فسد الجسد كله ألا وهي القلب. Respected brothers and brothers, after praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sending peace, salutations, salatu salam on Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, let's pray it once. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Mawlana Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Mawlana Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim. Alhamdulillah, we've gathered together to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the month of Ramadan is a month of change. It's a month of the Quran, and the Quran came about to bring change into not just individuals, but in entire societies, entire nations. That's why the Arabs before Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was such a people that Allah says about them, وَإِن كَانُوا لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. These people were in the most manifest of misguidance. They were completely gone. Even the Romans, the Persians, nobody wanted to take over them. That's why they were people without leaders. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to them, taught them civilization, and then they became the kind of people who went and took over the Persians and the Romans. And this all came, obviously Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was there, but it all came about the Quran. It came through the Quran, because the Quran is a book of change, and the month of Ramadan is a month of the Quran, which means the month of Ramadan is also the month of change. And this is the intention. And by change, I don't mean that we change for 29 or 30 days, and then we change back. We mean we change, we up our game, we double the salah we're praying, for example, we increase our Quran. If we're not praying Quran at all, we start the Quran. And then when Ramadan finishes, naturally there will be a decline. But our aim is from the end of this Ramadan to the start of next Ramadan, we don't go to the stage where we were at the start of this Ramadan. We stay a bit higher. So every year, gradually, even if it's a 5% increase, Ramadan on Ramadan, in about 10-15 years' time, your salah, for example, your Quran, your dhikr has doubled, tripled, quadrupled. So this is the intention, inshallah. Now, today is just an introduction, because last year we did about the removing the evil characteristics, traits from the heart, things like jealousy, things like hatred, enmity, lack of trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now obviously, naturally, when you move into a house, or if there's a house, what's the first thing you do? You get rid of the old stuff, and then you have to bring in the new furniture. You can't live in a bare home, right? So the whole intention for this month's programs, inshallah, is last year we learned how to get rid of the evil traits and characteristics. So this year will be about how to inculcate the good things into our lives. In the hadith I recited, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that there is a piece of flesh in the body. If this piece of flesh is good, then the entire body is good. This small piece of flesh. And if this piece of flesh is corrupted, then the entire body becomes corrupted. Now this is in terms of a spiritual and a physical sense. And the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam replies, Ala wa hiyal qalb. It is the heart. Because if the heart is corrupted from a physical perspective, then obviously the person who has a heart problem, he can't play sports anymore, he's always struggling. If he's struggling for breath, then he has to have an asthma, for example, he has to have an asthma pump. So same in physically, we need our heart to be at its utmost perfection, spiritually even more so. Because if our hearts are spiritually corrupted and rusted, then the goodness of the deen does not infiltrate our hearts. And who remembers the example I gave last year of our hearts and removing the dirt from our hearts? I gave the example of a pipe. And if we have like a waste pipe at home which has water coming through it, If that waste pipe becomes clogged up, can the water come through? If it's clogged up, if it's completely blocked up, will water come through? It won't. Same with our heart. You might put water into the pipe, like you might put good deeds, salah, dhikr, Quran into your heart. But if the heart is corrupt, it's very difficult for that to have an effect. It's illa masha'Allah, obviously, if Allah wants us to take effect from it, it will definitely have an effect. But generally what tends to happen is, we feel a disinclination from these things. We don't really want to pray salah, we don't really want to pray Quran. Rather talk of deen, even though obviously if I've got a meeting, if I'm busy, it's different. But I've got nothing on anyway. And I'm like, oh no, you know what, if I listen to this talk, I'll probably have to make a change in my life because I feel guilty about it after, so let's leave it, let's just not listen to it anyway. This disinclination from good, disassociation from good is all because of a corrupt heart. So if we fix our heart, and this was last year, the aim was, we fix our heart, we get rid of the dirt, you get rid of the things that's clogging the hearts. Once it's out, then we can start filling the heart with good. Because nobody's going to have a house which is rotting, which is being destroyed with dirty carpet inside and say, right, I'm going to buy a really expensive £2,000 settee or sofa and bring it and put it inside this house. Will you do it? No, an intelligent person will never do it. What's he going to do first? He's going to clean the house first. After he's cleaned the house, then he'll bring the furniture in. So this is what it's all about. So these talks, inshallah, will be about these good qualities. So things like patience, things like trusting Allah. And some of these, if you realize, many of them aren't so difficult. And many of them are quite obvious. Or we might think, you know what, that's quite easy. All I need to do is make an effort, or make a conscious effort. Because many things in life, all it needs is intention. Because we have many habits. We have many, many habits. You know, all the evil things that we mentioned that Islam says is in the heart, they're universally evil. So Muslim and non-Muslim will say the same thing. You go to a non-Muslim, you say, is it healthy to be jealous? They're going to say no. But they don't believe in a creator. But they know it's just no good for the heart. Is it healthy to have enmity with somebody else? No, of course it's not. So every evil quality that we have, we need to get rid of. And this is our intention. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purify our hearts for us. There are many ways of getting rid of them. And this Ramadan is a month of change. So what we need to do is, we need to think. I'm going to ask you questions, right? So this is going to be a question, you're going to have to give an answer. Each and every person will have something different. That is cutting their connection, or is becoming a disruption in their connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We all have things in our lives which are distractions or disruptions which affect our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every single person. Who can give a few things? It's number one. This is number one. Shaitan's locked up, but this contains millions of shaitans. Seriously. Shaitan is locked up, but this contains millions of shaitans. And like I said last year, Ramadan is a month of training. How many enemies do we have? How many enemies, spiritual enemies, do we have? He's saying one, I say two. Two. We have two enemies. What are the two enemies? The most obvious enemy is shaitan, and the second enemy is nafs, your desire, your carnal desire. In Ramadan, of these two enemies, how many are we saved from? One. Are we saved from the other? No. So we get rid of shaitan. It's training. Because when you train, do you train in the exact same conditions as match day? You don't, do you? You train, it's less intense, it's easier to train. So Ramadan, to help us bring this change about, Allah has given us one less enemy. And He said, let me make your life easier for you. You've only got one enemy. Mufti Farooq Sahib mentioned something really amazing after Dhuhr. He said, and common objection will be, if Allah wanted us to change, then why even keep the nafs? Allah could have locked up our desires as well, right? Allah could have given us 0 enemies and it'd be really easy to change. And the answer he gave was also really beautiful. Imam Suyuti rahmatullahi alayhi gives this answer, and he writes that, listen, any good deed done out of choice is rewarded. Any good deed done forcefully or under pressure is not rewarded. It might be accepted in the sense that your mum says, right, if you don't go to the masjid, I'm going to beat you. And you go to the masjid and you pray your dhuhr, your 4 rakats, they're done. Yeah, Allah puts a tick next to it. Okay, you've prayed your 4 rakats. You get reward for it? No. Because you've been forced to come. Or let's say your dad's standing behind you and he's like, you pray, otherwise I'll beat you. And you're like, okay, I'm just going to pray. So there's a tick next to the box, but there's no reward because you're forced to do it. But if you do it yourself, then you are also rewarded. Same with evil deeds. If you commit an evil deed out of choice, there is a sin for it. If you are forced, somebody puts a gun to your head and he says, right, give up your kalima, give up your iman, and Allah gives you permission. As long as iman is in your heart, Allah says, utter words of kufr, as long as iman is pure in your heart, then it's fine. If it's done under pressure, then Allah will forgive it. Now, Imam Suyuti, he narrates from Imam Suyuti, rahmatullahi alayhi, he says, listen, if in Ramadan, we have two enemies, right? Shaitan is out the way. If Allah also takes away the enemy of the nafs, that means our hearts will be forced to do good without any choice. What stops us from doing good? Shaitan and the nafs. Shaitan is gone, and then the nafs stops us from doing good. If Allah gets rid of the nafs, then nothing is stopping us from doing good. Then our heart is just inclined towards good. That means we are forced to do good. If we are forced to do good, are we rewarded? Yes or no? No. So it's a ni'mah and a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has kept our nafs with us in Ramadan so He can also reward us. It's a blessing of Allah that we have our nafs in Ramadan with us. So any good deed we do will be done through our own choice. And because it's done through our own choice, Allah will reward us greater. And then Allah rewards us how? If you do one good deed in Ramadan, you get the reward 70 times multiplied by. The reward is multiplied by 70 times. A farad deed times 70, a nafil deed like a farad. But in the same way, if we commit an evil deed, then multiply it by the same in the negative. So Ramadan is a time for change. So distractions, we have mobile phone. We need to really restrict. It is difficult. Of course it's difficult because we can all bring out millions of excuses of why we need our phones. Okay, but one thing I'll tell you is, number one, with your phones, set a time to use your phone, number one. And number two, whilst you're doing any good deed, don't keep your phone with you. If I'm praying Quran, let's say I have set from Asr to Maghrib, after the talk, I'm going to sit and pray Quran for 45 minutes. Phone should be away, because once the phone comes out, then every time it buzzes, and by put it away, I don't mean on silent, I mean completely, flight mode or something. So even if it vibrates, you didn't even get a vibration, no distractions at all. If you're praying Taraweeh, and it's like a pet hate of mine, that during Taraweeh, after every 2 or 4 rakats, somebody picks up their phone. So whilst you're doing a good thing, at least in this time, get rid of the distraction, so it doesn't become a disruption between you and your Creator. Number one. Another distraction outside of Ramadan that could hinder our connection with our Creator. Anything? Television? The internet? We get everything on our phones. And if you say phone is like the all-encompassing evil. Everything is inside the phone. You get internet, you get TV, you get whatnot on your phone. But things like music, films, things like that, we should completely cut out in Ramadan. Because, like the ulama mentioned, it's like doing good deeds but having a bag and putting a hole in the bottom of it. I've accumulated all this good, and I've just put a hole at the bottom and everything has gone to it. It's a month of change. If we aren't going to change now, when are we going to change? And by change, I don't mean, I give an example to my students, that when we do tawbah, Ramadan is a time Allah softens our hearts. So when we do tawbah for our misdeeds, tawbah, we need a pure 100% tawbah, not a 50% tawbah. A 50% tawbah, I'll explain to you. 50% tawbah is, I have music on my phone. I don't, but imagine I had music on my phone, right? So what I would do is, before Ramadan, at the start of Ramadan, I'll get all my music and put it on my laptop. And during Ramadan, I'll say, Astaghfirullah, I can't listen to music, and I'll do tawbah. In the back of my mind, subconsciously, I put it on my laptop. Why? Because once the day of Eid comes, it's back on my phone. This isn't tawbah. This is not tawbah. Tawbah is, I've got rid of it once and for all. It's gone, finished. Same with films, whatever evil habits we have that we want to get rid of, you get rid of it completely. Then after Ramadan, if you become weak, if shaitan overpowers you, then at least it won't be all at once, it'll be one at a time. So if we do a half tawbah, that half tawbah isn't accepted. If you want to do a full tawbah, you get rid of all your evil practices during the month of Ramadan. It's a month of change. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring change into my life, into your life, into all our lives. And you see, if we want change on a social level, what do we need to bring? Change on an individual level. Because individuals make up societies. No society has changed all at once. You need individuals to change. When individuals change, if I change, the people in my house change. If you change, the people in your house change. If the child changes, the parent changes. If the parents change, the children change. And slowly, if we change, our neighbors change. And slowly, year upon year, you make effort, and the whole society changes. It's not difficult. I'll give you a simple example and we'll finish. When Hazrat Imam Ilyas rahmatullahi alayhi started the work of Tabligh in India, well, he didn't start it, he restarted it. Because the effort of the Anbiya had gone, it completely depleted. And there were people who used to live in places like Mewat, and they were committing shirk without knowing. They were celebrating Hindu festivals, things like that. So they were people of very little knowledge, very ignorant. Now, he could have gone out and called everybody together in gatherings and said, right, you know what, everybody has to change from today. He was very, very hakim and wise. What he did was he used to go person to person. And he used to give da'wah person to person. And he used to say, you change your life. Done. You change your life. You change your life. Slowly, these people, 2 or 3 individuals became a group of 4 or 5. 4 or 5 slowly became leaders of their household, and they started changing their households. 5 or 6 households became streets worth of people changing. You look 100 years on, and the whole landscape of that part of India has changed. The whole landscape of the world has changed. So individuals create change. Okay? We're not going to bring change immediately altogether. We have to change as individuals. Allah will create change then, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make our Ramadan prosperous. I do request, if you can make notes, then make notes. Look, these notes aren't going to be from me, right? I'm not going to sit here and give you my own pearls, because I have no pearls. But they are going to be from Quran, from Hadith, from the stories and from the practices of our ulama and our akabir, our elders, the pious predecessors who left before us. So everything we say, inshallah, will be authentic. So if you want to take notes to benefit yourselves, then please take notes. We're recording it as well, inshallah. And if I can get somebody, I don't know, maybe it's a bit far-fetched, but if you can get somebody maybe to make notes every day and then collate them, or make notes and make them very short or in the form of a diagram every day or something, maybe wallahu alam, something. I know last year one of my friends, he drew a tree, and with the tree he had all the evil deeds coming off the tree, and then one coming off the other, like branches coming off one. What affects the other? What is the root cause, etc., etc. So if somebody can do that, then it'll be beneficial. So not only do we 40, 50 people here benefit, but we can send it out and other people can also benefit, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive our shortcomings, accept you and accept us for sitting here, and give us all the ability to act upon what has been said. Ameen wa akhir da'wana and alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Subhanahu wa bihamdihi.